So, you suck at aiming. Well, let me teach you how to get better with these 3 simple lessons. My name is Cousin Fury, and I've been playing video games ever since I was a little jit, and have been playing competitive games since I was 12 years old when the Overwatch beta came out. God, I am literally an old head. I started on console and transitioned to PC, where I have World Cup earnings in Fortnite, not a ton, been top 500 and semi-pro in Overwatch, hit 1 above all in Marvel Rivals, and have experience hitting the highest rank in many other games. Now, let's cut straight to it. How does one aim? Philosophical question, I know. Well, I'm going to start off with the 3 main basics, and we'll get into the more advanced stuff later in the video. So, whether you are brand new to gaming with a controller or a PC veteran, stick around to the end of the video as I promise you'll learn something new today. Crosshair placement. Please, if you are going to take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Quite literally, from a baby playing with a Wii controller to literally Shroud, this is the most important tip. Now, what is crosshair placement? As the name suggests, it is where you place your crosshair. Now, why is this so important? Well, when you think of aim, you probably think of the craziest clip you've ever seen where they're doing the most impressive flicks or tracking you'll ever see. And while all that is super cool, that quite literally accounts for like 5% of gameplay. However, if your crosshair placement is good, it does about 60% of the work for you, and depending on the game, can do up to 100% of the work if you play tactical shooters like Rainbow Six, CS2, or Valorant. So, to have good crosshair placement, you want to place your crosshair where you anticipate your enemy is going to be, and when you do this, all you have to do is click. Too many times do I see people staring at the floor like a worm is going to one-pump them, or the sky like a bird is about to snipe them. If you aim where you anticipate the enemy is going to be at the proper height of head level, you are already way ahead of the game. Let me show you this Jinxie clip as a perfect example. Not only does Jinxie play on controller, he is also not particularly the most mechanically talented. However, his game sense is borderline unmatched, which is why he can literally beat pro players and high-rank PC players. Throughout this clip, you can see Jinxie is constantly aiming at head level and keeping his crosshair close to where he thinks they're going to be. This applies to any video game, and this is the most apparent right here in this gameplay. And he even gets the ultimate reward at the end with probably the most satisfying kill. Why? Because he had his crosshair in the perfect place.
The diffuser has been secured.
Fica atrás tuyo.
Friendly, last operator standing.
One is third, the other
4 remaining.
atrás.
On your right. He's probably on your right, hallway. Good shit.
They have to think I'm cheating at this point.
Friendly mission success.
After this clip, he puts it the best himself in his own words, and I'll just let that play.
Yet again though, bro, just pre-aiming head leveled off of sound. That simple. The most important thing in Siege history to do is literally just aim head level. Like, I can't even express how important that is. If you aim head level, like you're like consistently aim head level, you're automatically like plat minimum. You consistently aim head level.
Now, it might seem like this is only good advice for tactical shooters, but that is incorrect. In games like Marvel or Overwatch, anticipating where someone is going to be and placing your crosshair there is fundamental to good aim. In Fortnite, when making an edit and peeking, you're placing your crosshair where they're going to be before you even finish the edit. This is fundamental and how you can get better at any game you play exponentially fast. How does one get better at this? Well, this is the hard part. Experience. If you're completely brand new to a game, you won't know where head level is or where common peaks or places that enemies are going to be. But by taking actual mental notes and not just turning your brain off while playing, you'll learn to anticipate where your enemies are going and common spots where they're going to hide and peek. Movement. Yes, movement. Before you click off of the aiming video, movement is super important in helping your aim. Let me explain. What looks harder? Moving like you took 6 honey packs and can't control your lower half? Or this?
Got him.
Nice Jet.
You will not kill my
Spike
ally.
down B.
The goat, bro.
3.
Now, these are completely different games, but what if I told you the latter is not only 20 times easier, but also way more beneficial for actually improving your aim? Rather than relying on crazy tracking or flicks, when you use your character's movement to align your crosshair, you have much less room for error with over flicking and over tracking, as you are essentially moving with your enemy, staying with them and aiming perfectly with extremely minimal effort. Now, this goes hand in hand with lesson number 1, as paired with good crosshair placement and movement, you can straight up look like you're cheating. I don't mean to glaze Jinxie, so I'll take it out my mouth after this.
Hey, yo.
But yet again, he is a prime example of good movement and crosshair placement, allowing you to look like you're cheating. I promise you, if you put Jinxie into an aim lab scenario, he'd probably be in the 100th percentile. However, using these 2 lessons, he consistently hits clips like this.
50 HP.
Nice kid. He's not gonna be so dead. Nice, Jinxie. Good shot, bro.
Can't.
Kill both. Another one hopped in.
In games like Marvel Rivals, moving with your opponent allows you to track much smoother and more consistently. Or even playing characters like Magic, your movement allows you to align your combos up much better and more consistently. This is key to any game, and I know I might be crucified by the tactical FPS community for saying this, but it's actually the most simple in those games. You should take previously mentioned advice for any game, but the movements get a lot crazier depending on the game you play. As mentioned in lesson number 1, I could make an entire dedicated video to this topic, so let me know if you want to see that, but there are plenty of resources for improving your movement in your specific game. But remember, use your movement with good crosshair placement and you have already done 90% of the work. Anticipation. Now, if you were actually paying attention, I mentioned this in the previous lesson, but this is an extremely underrated aspect of aiming. You can have great crosshair placement and movement to pair alongside with it, but you need to actually think about where it is the enemy is going to move. Now, in any normal FPS game, someone can make 4 to 6 movement choices per frame. So, how could you possibly predict where the enemy is going? Well, let's use our cabezas here. Humans are creatures of habit, and as such, we tend to do the exact same thing in any video game. If a tracer is strafing left to right, make it easier by moving your crosshair where she's going to strafe next. If someone is going to swing a doorway in Siege, move and align yourself where they're about to swing. If in Fortnite you know they're going to jump peek, move and align yourself where they're about to peek. In between every shot and action in any game you play, actually think about what exactly your opponent is going to do next and align your crosshair placement and movement to react. I promise you and your aim performance is going to skyrocket in turn. Now, these are the 3 main lessons that go hand in hand and I want you to take away the most from. Put your crosshair where they're going to be, move your character to support where your crosshair is placed and to move where the enemy is going to go, and try and anticipate what your enemy is going to do in between each shot and action to make it less about guessing with your aim and more about predicting and reading with your aim. Now, I'm going to kind of speedrun some more advanced tips and platform specific ones. So this is going to be some more advanced stuff that I won't go into crazy detail on, but want to guide you guys into the right path. If you want any specific video on any of these, just let me know. Pick how you aim for the right scenario. If you don't need to flick, don't flick. Don't be flicking because it's cool, flick because you're reacting to something far away from your crosshair. Track your opponent when they're moving consistently across your screen, and make micro adjustments when there are sudden changes in movements. Please just pick a sensitivity and stay with it. There are a million different videos on how to pick a perfect sensitivity, but what I personally did was just copied my favorite pro, Carpe's sensitivity, and legit stuck with it for essentially my entire PC journey. And I just used a calculator to just change it for different games. With now over 6 years of PC experience, I can play with pretty much any sense, but whether you're on PC or controller, picking a sense and staying with it to build up muscle memory is how you improve. If you constantly are switching your sense, you're basically starting from ground zero every time. Pick a crosshair. Same thing I mentioned previously, but with a crosshair. This is less important and practical, however the same rule applies, and if you're just constantly switching your crosshair, you're just moving your progress back over and over again. Okay, now this is a convoluted topic. I honestly recommend a channel like Rocket Jump Ninja, as he has insanely detailed videos on this, but essentially, depending on the mouse you have and how big your hands are, you should be gripping your mouse in a specific way. The three main ones are palm grip, where your entire hand rests on the mouse with fingers laying flat on the buttons and the mouse fits the full shape of your palm. It's best for smooth tracking, like long sessions, and it's less fatiguing. The downside is the precision is going to be a little bit harder for fast movements, and usually people do this with like either big hands or large mice. Claw grip, this is what I use, where your palm touches the back of your mouse, but the fingers are arched like a claw with your fingertips on each of the buttons. This is best for balance of like speed and control and quick flicks and clicks. The downside is like you can get some finger fatigue as you're like pretty much just grabbing this, and it's probably the most popular grip in FPS gaming from my experience. And then the other common one is fingertip grip, where only your fingertips are touching the mouse and your palm is not touching it at all. It's very good for fast flicks and like very precise adjustments. Just you have a lot less stability, it's a little bit more tiring, and it's also harder to control. Okay, time for some speed rounds. Let's do some controller things. Controllers. Dead zone settings are important for any game, and you should watch a video for your specific game. Linear versus dynamic response curve are also important for aiming, and you should watch videos specific to your game on those. Back buttons, paddles, and how you grip your controller can also make games with more buttons easier to play and aim in, so do some research to see if those are controllers you want to invest in, or if there's different ways to hold your controller that'll make it easier for you. Mouse and keyboard speed round. Making sure you have raw input by disabling it on your PC or in your specific game is huge and will throw off your aim a lot if you don't do it, in my opinion. DPI versus in-game sensitivity is ensuring your DPI is consistent across the board, as the way it works is it's a multiplier, and it's going to throw off your sense a lot if you're changing your DPI and sense. Mousepad size and surface are important, as you need a mousepad big enough to support the sensitivity you're using, and the surface can change how your aim feels dramatically. I personally have never really invested into a crazy nice mousepad, but people really do swear in the aiming community that it makes a huge difference. Similar to grips, aiming with your arm versus your wrist can make all of the difference, and learning to use both when appropriate is key, but a general rule of thumb is arm is used more with low sense, and wrist is used more with high sense. Finally, some general tips. Create a warm-up before you play any game, as warming up for just 10 minutes and doing this consistently before you hop into ranked can make a huge difference. And aim training. I do genuinely want to make an entirely separate video on this, but for the sake of your time and keeping this video short and sweet, just like anything in life, the more time you put in, the better you will get. And just like if you shot 1,000 3-pointers a day, if you aim train, you will get better. Whew. Okay, tips, speedrun, done. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to see a specific video on any of these topics, let me know. I am also planning on making videos for how specifically to play and get better at these games, starting with hero shooters, but I want to spread my wings into like every game genre. I want to provide all this info for free, but I am a broke college student, so I started a Patreon. If you want individual coaching for your aim or improving at any game from, I don't know, like Roblox to Counter-Strike, you can just pay to either support me for a monthly VOD review or for one-on-one direct coaching with the man himself on my Patreon. My Discord server is also free, so join a growing community who wants to get better at what they do every single day. I stream almost every day on Twitch and here on YouTube, so go ahead and follow me on there as well. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you in the next one, baby.